Look, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who thought, Tommo, there's no way you can rinse this series on liveries that you've created any further. And I haven't done one of these for a while, so you thought you might have been safe. Well, you're not. I'm afraid today we are bringing back my top 10 ranked liveries over a certain decade. A decade's 10 years, right? And today we are back at 1990 to 1999 and my top 10 best liveries of that time period. Now, this was by far and away the most difficult one of these to make because this generation of cars and liveries combined are, for me, the most beautiful of all time, of all F1. I absolutely adore these cars. You'll start to see as we go which part of this 10-year period I like the most, but let's get into it. Let's start in 1994 with the Sauber C13 driven by Andrade de Cesaris and Heinz Harald Frentzen, primarily. Now, this was a livery I did not recognise, if I'm honest, until I researched this video and went through all the liveries of this time period, saw it, and I was like, that's a little bit decent. So the Sauber back then had its black and white classic, calm, all right, very good looking car, but you know, not much creativity to it. And then you got Tissot, who were title sponsors at the time of the Sauber F1 team, and they wanted to slap a big watch on the front, which, to be fair, that part of the livery I don't like, but what I do like is the kind of polka dot style gradient. I think it's very unique, very different. We've never seen a polka dot F1 car before, I don't think, anyway. And as much as it wasn't bright and leery, I thought it created a really clean, elegant looking bit of livery design. In the same year, we had Simtek with the S941, number 9 on this list, driven by David Brabham and the late Roland Ratzenberger, who of course passed away, sadly, in 94 at the San Marino Grand Prix. I mean, look, it's purple, which you don't see in F1 very often, unless you're watching the Tiamat Marduk career mode, of course. And it's got MTV on the side of it, which is a vibe. MTV were kind of on the come up then, back in the day, you know, the start of their relevance. And to me, it's such a distinctive looking car. Fair play, man. It looks sick. 1998, I'm putting the McLaren MP4-13, driven by David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen. Now, you might be surprised it's this low on the list because, of course, I put the West branded McLaren that was in the 2000s top of my list for that time period. But I didn't want to put this right up there again. I mean, I love this livery. If I was probably being completely subjective, I probably would put it higher. But there's so many beauties in the early 90s that, to me, this just didn't quite match. So I'm putting it down here. It was the second year of West's branding on the McLaren. The first year, the car was very ugly. This, though, the 98 car, was a very pretty car and wore that West livery very, very nicely. All right, 1995, we've got another Sauber, the C14 this time, driven by Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Karl Wendlinger and Jean-Christophe Bouillon. Now, if you're a fan of my stuff, you probably recognise this car because it's featured multiple times on the channel. And why is that? Iconic for many a reason, but two of them being, it was the first furore into F1 on car sponsorship for both Red Bull and Petronas, who of course are two of the biggest marquees in the sport at the moment. It's just super simple, and combined with the style of the car at the time, it's great. The fact that it kind of born these two, you know, household F1 name brands now, I think that deserves a bit of credit. So that's why it's number 7 on my list. Okay, early 90s time. And spoiler alert, we don't move into the tail end of the 90s again. There's too many bangers at the start of the 1990s. And we're starting in 91. This might be a bit lower than a lot of people might think, but I'm putting the Williams FW14, driven by Nigel Mansell and Riccardo Patrese in 91. So iconic. The blue, the yellow, the red. It's just such a pretty car. These were difficult to rank, man. But I'll put this at number 6. There's not much in this between number 6 and number 1. It's just a lovely jubbly, isn't it? It's so good. Number 5, and we stay in 1991 to a car from a team that probably a lot of you have never heard of. I mean, I recognise the acronym that their name goes by, and you're going to see why in a minute. They go by an acronym most of the time. It is the Automobile Jean Freinet Jean Faronet Sportif. I'm trying to do my best to pronounce it correctly. AGS, as it's often known, the JH27 from 91, driven by Gabriele Tarquini and Fabrizio Babazza. 1991 was their final year in Formula One. I think they had about 5-6 years in total in the sport. And to me, this livery absolutely slaps. Strong Fernando Alonso 2018 helmet vibes. I'm guessing Fernando must have taken some inspiration because they are far too similar in terms of colour palette. It's probably not actually that balanced when I look at it, but the use of the light blue and the dark blue on the back, it's just so unique, it's so distinctive, and fair play to him for actually slapping some creativity on that car. I think this is an absolutely beautiful bit of livery design. All right, 1990. It's the McLaren MP4 5, driven by Ayrton Senna and Gerhard Berger. The Marlboro McLaren. It had to feature. It's at number 4 for me. So again, probably lower than I think a lot of you watching would put it. But to me, there's just so many bangers. And it's just, I'm like kid in a candy shop, man. Marlboro McLaren, I don't condone smoking in any way, shape or form, but the tobacco sponsorship branded cars were the best looking. You just can't argue because pretty much all of these on here are tobacco brands. I mean, it's not inherently anything about smoking that makes good looking cars. It's the Marlboro McLaren. What more is there to say? Okay, back to 1991. Now, this car, again, is probably, as most people consider, one of the best of all time. It's at the top of everyone's list, it seems. It's the 91 Jordan 191, driven by Bertrand Gachot, Andrea Cesaris, Alessandro Zanardi, Roberto Moreno, and most famously of all, even though it was only for one race, Michael Schumacher. Oh, baby. The 7-Up. The 7-Up Jordan. The livery slaps. The livery's great, and it uses green, which is very distinctive. I want to kind of dissect why I think this livery is held in such high esteem. So again, you've got the green, which is it's kind of quite a bright green. It's not like a British racing green, which is distinctive, stands out, and that complements the blue on the side really nicely. They work really well together, those colours. And then you've got the white elements in the Fujifilm with the red. That works really well. In fact, it's on this car with this unreal body shape. That front wing is just it's so nice. That front wing, the way it lovely. And then you've got the little fin. It's like a little dinky fin on the back of the old airbox. So good, so good. But this is what I mean. It's still only number 3. There's 2 absolute bangers coming up, ladies and gentlemen. This one does not hold the level of icon that I believe it should. Probably because it wasn't a particularly successful car. But I'm going with the 1990 Lotus 102 as number 2 on this list, driven by Derek Warwick, Martin Donnelly, and very briefly, Colliero's favourite son, me in second, of course, Johnny Herbert. If I was just looking in terms of physical body design, for me, this Lotus 102 is the greatest of all time. There's just it's just mad. It's just mad. It looks sick. Everything looks really big and inflated. The wheels look huge. The wing looks huge. There's just something about the look of that car, the physical look of that car, that just makes me very, very happy. The livery, super simple. Again, tobacco sponsorship, camel, all yellow with the dark blue camel logos on it. I would have said, to be fair, I think before I properly researched this video and looked into all the liveries, I would have said this was my number 1. But there is something that just edges it. But fair play, Lotus. GG. My number 1 comes from 1991. A car driven by Alain Prost and Jean Alesi. Yes, of course, it's the Ferrari 643. Now, the 1991, beautiful. But what makes the 1991 one even better for me is the black on the kind of side of the nose that makes the nose look even more slim. There's something about a slim F1 car nose that just works. It's why I really love the current Renault, and how that's got the really nice slim nose compared to the Ferrari, which has the fat nose, which just makes it look sluggish, even though the Ferrari livery I actually prefer, if you know what I mean. So this is just the overall package. The physical car design is beautiful. The livery, it's red, it's my favourite colour. The Agip, the Pioneer, Agip, is that even right? I don't know. Fiat as well on the side. It's just the black front and rear wing. Ferrari need to bring back the black front and rear wings, if you ask me, with the red base, because that is just so good. But there we have it. There's my top 10 of 1990 to 1999. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below what yours would be. Maybe just re-rank mine. Any I missed out that are absolute bangers. Let me know in the comments below. This was an incredibly hard list to make. There were loads of quality liveries that didn't even make the top 10. And if you have enjoyed this video, please just give that old like button a tickle. You know what I mean? I much appreciate that. Subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. Growth's been great recently, and people are obviously responding really well to my stuff. So thank you again, everyone, for the support. It does. Honestly, I'm enjoying this so much, man. I hope that comes across in the videos. I'm enjoying what I'm doing so much right now, and I owe it to you guys and girls watching. So thank you once again. Tommo F1 signing out. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.